Hello YouTube, De-bodgery here. Some time back I did a couple of videos about these XHP160 Chinese flashlights, and I showed in another couple of videos, inside and outside, that a slightly overdriven XHP70.2, which has only got 4 elements versus the 16 elements that are inside there, was of equal brightness. So 4 XML2 elements versus 14 XML Chinese elements, and there was no real brightness difference between the two. And also you got natural yellow light because that's the Cree bin I buy. I buy the 4300K LEDs. So anyway, I was curious, and I took one of these things apart because I was sort of wondering how they worked out inside. And I had just gotten a pin wrench, so that's that, which allowed me to get to those 2 holes right there and right there, so that I could break that thread loose right there, which threads into the backside of this main barrel section, and all the electronics sit inside here basically. So anyway, that's what you're seeing down there. So here's all the electronics, and then I've got a couple 21700s and a battery holder over here, and I've got the wires soldered down to the positive and negative poles on the input side of the boards. And then here's the LED carrier, with the LED in it, and I've got my clamp-on amp meter, my Klein tools, and let's zero that out. There we go. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that's zeroed out, and I'm going to now turn on the LED. And unfortunately, I had to do this separately because I've only got 1 meter. So I'm just going to tell you what the voltages are and what the watts are, and we'll just look at the amps on the meter. So anyway, there's high, and we're showing 4.4 amps, and I've got written down 5.65 volts, so that's right about 27 watts. And so there's medium. Now we're down to 2.1 amps, and I wrote down 5.1 volts. And let's do that again. So there's low, and now we're looking at about 1 amp, and I wrote down 4.8 volts. So that's about 7 watts. Oops, I forgot to say it for the other one. That's 13 watts or so. So anyway, yeah, about 27, 13, and 7 watts for high, medium, and low. And I looked up these flashlights online. I just got on eBay and looked up the XHP160 flashlights, this thing exactly. And they show them as rated for 30 watts maximum. So I would give 27 watts, reasonable shake at that. So anyway, here was my stuff that I wrote down about it. But yeah, I would say 27 watts is pretty close to 30 watts. So yeah, congratulations for not lying too much, China. That's a pretty small lie. The thing that I want to point out though is I would say this should be a 6-volt LED, but on on high rather, it's only running at 5.65 volts. It's the highest reading I ever got, and I checked the high, medium, and low settings like 3 times. Amps and voltage, and yeah, 5.65 volts was the highest I got, and well, that's a little less than 7 or 6 volts by 0.4 volts or so. And I run Cree XHP70.2s at like 7.2, 7.5 volts all the time, so it's running under voltage. So it makes me wonder, if I were to run it at 6 volts, would it run? First of all, not burn out. It should. And then also, how much more light's it going to make? So I might do that little experiment and see how that works out. I don't think I'm ever going to convert one of these things over to an XHP70.2, and it's basically because the whole zoom mechanism, I'd have to fix that. I would lose the O-ring. I would put thermal glue all around this. I would put thermal glue on here so that cooling can happen through here as well, and cooling can happen through here. Because the truth of the matter is, a Cree LED produces too much heat to make all that light. For this little carrier right here, this is already getting hot just running it on high. Like right now it's probably 110, 115 degrees for that little bit of a run. And I'm sure that with very little heat path for this LED that it gets quite warm in there. because there's literally no heat path. You know, it's got an O-ring on here, so it's not transferring heat to this hardly at all. That's totally convection. You know, it's air gapped. And then through here, it's got threads to there, so that's like its only path for transferring heat. And I have to tell you that this doesn't really get that warm. So I would have to say that most of the heat's staying trapped right here. So it's not a very good design in that regard. And if I were to put an XHP160, I'd have to fix all that stuff, and I'm not sure it's worth it. So anyway, yeah, this is De-bodgery saying, hey folks, I hope that helps somebody learn a little bit about these Chinese flashlights and, well, the not exactly very good design.